As the United States teeters on the edge of defaulting on its debt, Republicans are holding firm to demands to gut programs for the poor and working families, and they're wasting time, literally. On Monday, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer said the quiet part out loud about his pointless investigation into the Biden family, which found nothing.
So do you think that because of your investigation, that is what's moved this needle with the media?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no question. You look at the polling, and right now, Donald Trump is 7 points ahead of Joe Biden and trending upward. Joe Biden's trending downward.
Well, if that sounds familiar, here's the then Republican House Majority Leader justifying the Benghazi investigation in 2015.
Everybody thought Hillary Clinton was unbeatable, right? But we put together a Benghazi special committee, a select committee. What are her numbers today? Her numbers are dropping.
Genius. That off-script revelation cost Kevin McCarthy a shot at becoming Speaker in 2015. But now that he's got the gavel after 15 votes, he's doing his best to placate his caucus's fringe over the debt limit. Matt Gaetz told Semaphore that a new House rule allowing one member to force McCarthy out as Speaker has given MAGA Republicans the best version of Kevin in negotiations, adding that MAGA conservatives reject compromise with the White House because, quote, they don't feel like we should negotiate with our hostage, unquote. And while Republicans claim that the White House is not showing enough urgency about negotiations, the Republicans who run Kevin are literally wasting your time, goofing off in their caucus meeting, playing games like holding 100,000 auctions for used lip balm, which is actually disgusting, and trolling on Twitter like they have all the time in the world. Because they actually don't care about the deficit or the debt, y'all. The only things that these MAGA trolls care about are kicking low-paid working-class people for fun, sucking up to Donald Trump, and just like Matt Gaetz said out loud, holding America hostage. I'm joined now by Maryland Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin, the ranking member on the Oversight Committee. He was a member of the Select Committee to investigate January 6th. Always good to speak with you, Congressman Raskin. I have to tell you, the joking and trolling and the lip balm disgusting auction actually really infuriated me today as a story. And I'll tell you why. Let me just put up this little full screen. These are the debt payments that are at risk starting June 1st. $10 billion in military pay and retirement pay for our veterans. We're right before Memorial Day. $47 billion in payments to Medicare providers. $25 billion in Social Security benefits for our seniors. $1 billion in SNAP food aid benefits that help kids eat. $6 billion in Medicare reimbursements to states. $1 billion in individual tax refunds for people who filed their taxes. $6 billion in Medicaid reimbursements to states, and $5 billion in Medicaid reimbursements to states, plus $5 billion in federal salaries for people who work, unlike Marjorie Greene and Matt Gaetz. I wonder how you feel having to serve in a House of Representatives where this is the dynamic.
Well, it's a totally cavalier, madcap environment among the Republicans. It's like they're all playing the fool on the Titanic while they try to crash the ship. They would really bring down the entire economy of the United States and plunge us into recession with 7 or 8 million jobs lost without batting an eye, just to prove their point that they want to try to dismantle the social programs that millions of people across the country depend on. So it's a scary situation to see how deranged it's gotten, but it's the price of allowing them to believe in lies and to totally deaden themselves to what the truth is and what facts are and what human compassion is supposed to be all about. So I do think it's a frightening situation. Fortunately, we've got the Constitution on our side, and the 14th Amendment says that the validity of the public debt shall not be questioned, which to my mind means that forced to the edge by these MAGA extremists, the president has no other choice but to respect the laws of the country and pay our bills to the Social Security recipients, the Medicare recipients, veterans, and the bondholders of the country. And we've got to respect all those laws and the Constitution. And one law about a debt ceiling cannot override the Constitution of the United States and every other law.
Well, you are a constitutional expert. Thankfully, we have a constitutional scholar here in you to talk about this with, because the arguments that I've read against it, I read a piece in, I think in the Washington Post, that said that you can't do it this way because you'd end up in a litigation. You'd end up in a court case about whether or not it was valid for the president to go ahead and pay these bills. And while that happened, you couldn't go ahead and make the payments. And then you'd end up in this Supreme Court where Samuel Alito would say that in 1735, slave owners didn't agree, therefore you can't pay Social Security people and screw them. So what do you fear that?
Yeah. No, because elections have consequences, and one consequence of our having won the presidency is that President Biden doesn't have to go and sue anybody. We're playing defense. All he has to do is faithfully execute the laws, as he's sworn to do under Article 2 of the Constitution, and respect the full faith and credit of the United States by not dishonoring the debts that we've already incurred. In other words, he's just got to pay the bills. And then if Marjorie Taylor Greene or Matt Gaetz, if they want to go to court, they've got to prove first why they have standing. How are they injured by other people getting their bills paid? And even if they're somehow able to overcome that, this is a political question for the political branches to work out. And even if they're able to overcome that, well, then they've got to prove somehow that their rights have been violated because other people got their bills paid. And what's their remedy for that? They're suing the Social Security recipients to tell them to return their money to the U.S. government. They're suing the bondholders of America to tell them to return their money that's rightfully theirs to the U.S. government? I don't think so. So I know this is an extremist Supreme Court, but I don't think they're willing to further drive the government of the United States into a ditch with the MAGA extremists. In any event, we can't allow them to intimidate those of us who want to follow the law in the clear meaning and sense of the Constitution. We don't repudiate the debts of the United States.